candle. Welcome. Peace and namaste. This is not church, no doctrine, no dogma. Christian deconstruction revealing the light hidden in the teachings of the enlightened Jesus and the other mystical experiencers in the Bible and outside the Bible. Hey, welcome everybody. Say hi to folks I haven't said hi to. Holly and Jim, good morning. Hey, Robert again. I think I said hi to you already. If I didn't, hello. The Gospel of Thomas saying 25 and a talk called How to Love Others Like Your Own Soul. This was last week. We learned that we aren't called to love our human selves, our bodies, or our personalities, but to learn to love our higher consciousness. So this week, in 1 John 2, 8 to 11, and a talk titled Love and Hate, Light and Darkness, we're going to go deeper into the self, soul, love, and hate in private and public life, in our choices, asking what it means to love one's soul or hate in our turbulent world. Now, I know I promised to talk about the Lord's Prayer this week, but I'm going to put it off for a week because the connection with 1 John that I established last week was kind of sitting inside my heart all week. So I'm Peter Panagore, MDiv, Yale, ex-pastor, ex-TV inspirational broadcaster, a two-time near-death experiencer in union, Kundalini experiencer, scholar, storyteller, and open-hearted. I choose this path. It chose me, but I also choose this path. I chose this path before I was even born. So I choose it now. It was chosen for me, and I chose it before I was born. The route I choose is love, not hate, and light, not darkness. If you're here, I suspect, like a lot of my friends who are here this morning, are here because you're all on a similar path. I'm going to say hi over here. Hey, Holly, PL, Beth, Connor. Good morning, Nancy, Colleen. So let's begin as we always begin with 3 ohms and a chant. And I want you to, as I always say, or something like this, feel the vibration of the vocalization inside yourself. Feel it in your heart. Feel it in your throat. Feel it in your third eye. I'm going to move my screen a little bit here. There we go. That's a little better. First, by chanting this, it sets ourselves in our bodies, and then we're going to go into our brief silence, repeating our prayer inside ourselves in our heads, and write it up and down in our breath, as we always do, into our noses and down to our bellies and back out again. If this is your first time here, hey Asta, hi Thomas, Trace Thomas in Vancouver. Hey, if this is your first time here, we practice a little bit of centering prayer, which is basically a word or a phrase riding on our breath in order to find our way into the center of ourselves. If you want to know more about that, there's a link below in the description, but also on Mondays and Wednesdays, we practice together. So, ohms, diaphragmic breathing in centering prayer, and just follow my breath. Here we go. Oh, and the only way out of here is in, right? So here we go. Full breath into the lungs too. Diaphragm first. Just diaphragmic breathing, relax, centering prayer, follow your breath. Love and hate, light and darkness. A reading from the mystical passage, 1 John 2, 8, 11. This divine rule, so like you've never heard before. This is, once again, I've gone done my research, and then I did some interpretation to get to the root of the light spoken here. This divine rule is equally valid in Jesus and in you, because the darkness has dissolved. The true light, capital T, capital L, the true light now shines. Therefore, whoever says he is in the light and hates is now in darkness. Whoever loves a sister or a brother stays in the light, and there is no misstep in her. But whoever hates her brother or her sister lives in darkness and doesn't even know it, and neither knows where she goes, because the darkness blinds her eyes. The blind don't know that they're blind. They cannot see what they cannot see, but can see them, but we can see them, because they speak from the treasure of their hearts, spewing hateful words and lies. How do you know if a person is full of hate? They usually tell you who they hate. It's pretty obvious, either with words or actions. When the blind lead the blind, everyone falls into the pit, said Jesus in Matthew 15 and Luke 6. When the blind lead the blind, everyone falls into the pit. When the blind leads the blind, whole nations can fall into the hole. Entire religions can fall into the pit. And they try to take everyone with them. Bold religious and political leaders claim that they are in the light, but they preach hate, and so lie to themselves and to their believers and to their believing followers. Christian nationalism preaches hate, no matter whether it's here in the United States or elsewhere in the world. Mysticism experiences love with a capital L. Hatred does not exist. I say this again. Hatred does not exist in heaven. In heaven, there is no darkness. I know I've been there. I've seen for myself. I've experienced only love. Love alone exists in heaven. As above, so below. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. This is what's being spoken of here. As above, so below. But it takes effort. It takes effort on our part. There is no hate in heaven. The blind are blind to their blindness. They don't know what they don't know, and yet they claim the light for their own. But their own words and actions condemn them. Listen to them with the open ear of your heart. Listen to them. And then tell me what you hear. Those who preach hate have hearts full of hate. There is no hate in heaven. Many who say they love Jesus speak hate. They act in hate. They have hatred in the darkness of their hearts that they claim as light. Many hold up the Bible as a prop and fool the gullible. We hear it every day in the public square. The mouth speaks what the heart is full of. Jesus said that in Matthew 12. The mouth that speaks hatred has a heart full of darkness, and they don't know it. It's not their fault. They live under the veil. And so they don't know where they're going, nor where they lead. They don't see the pit in front of them. Those who live in the light do not misstep. 1 John. How is this possible, not to misstep? Thank you, Kate. How is this possible, not to misstep? Because the love supersedes and dissolves the hate. The light dissolves the darkness. It's not that we don't make mistakes, because we do. Just look at my life, it's full of mistakes. That's just being a human being. But the light itself never missteps. I've said before that in my NDE, I chose to embody more as a person and less as a being of light. I wanted to be embedded in my body, but I've spent my whole life in all of my decisions and all of my mistakes, all of my choices, trying to lean my heart toward the light. And not because I'm thinking about it, but because I try to create a space inside myself that is a space for the light through my meditative practices, through the Kriya, through the chakra work, through the centering prayer, through the silence. I try to lean always toward the light so that no matter what choice I make, I never misstep out of the light itself. Last week we talked about, it isn't about loving our physical bodies. It is about loving our higher selves, our souls, our consciousness. As long as we place our consciousness in the light and have this relationship with the light, then the light never missteps inside us. I can make a mistake, but the light inside me does not. This is how we know the difference. Those who live in the light don't hate. Don't hate. On the contrary, the true light that enlightens leads us from within, showing themselves, capital T, the divine many, showing themselves in everything, everywhere, all the time, and everyone making hate impossible and making hate impossible for the enlightened like Jesus. He got angry, definitely did that. But hatred? Never. This is as valid. I love the way this one starts. This is valid for Jesus as it is for us. He's always telling us, you are the light of the world. 1 John tells us this is valid for Jesus. It's valid for this guy. It's valid for us because we are the same as him. We are like him in the light, and we choose the light that is ineffable and experiential. If you want to live in the light, aim your heart toward the light, because the light and the love cannot be separated. They can't be separated. They are one thing. Now, around 70% of near-death experiencers use the words light and love as metaphors to describe our experiences. Love and light are one. When light lives in you, then love will be lived in your daily public and private life and spoken from the center of your heart. It doesn't mean that you're weak or meek. What it means is that you're grounded in the love and the light. And sometimes that presents us with difficult choices. It takes strength to stand up against the oppressors. It takes strength to stand up against those who hurt you or hate you. But it's a process. Let this unfold in your life. Aim your heart within. Seek the light. When we gather together, we gather in this Sanga, this collective of divine light. That's why we meditate together on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays. We meditate a little tiny bit every Sunday morning to bind this power between us, the I am that Jesus spoke of, this unity, this Christ consciousness, this cosmic energy, this Shakti. Now, if you hate someone, stay away from them if you can. And if you can't, find strength inside yourself. And whenever you think of them, instead of reciting the story of your pain to yourself from them, given to you from them, instead bless them. I have a person I know who, whenever I see him, he has some pain, new pain. And he begins back in 1971 and then recites all of the pain he's ever experienced in his life in order. I know it by heart. He's told me often enough. He carries these stories with him of his pain and thus creates more pain inside himself. And though he seeks the light, he carries this darkness. All do this. I do this. Oh, that person, insulted me in the grocery line or whatever. Replace it with a blessing for that person to free yourself from the pain. Now, over time, you'll free yourself and them. Hate is natural, and in small doses, it comes after wounds. It's a human thing. Hatred of groups is tribal, bringing party against party, ethnicity against ethnicity, religion against religion, nation against nation, race against race, ideology against ideology. In hate, there is no light. In hate, there is only darkness. And whoever preaches, orates, bloviates, pontificates, or opines hate and claims to be in the light is in the darkness and doesn't know it. Therefore, don't let the haters lead you. Instead, seek the light. Let the light lead you. You need no guru other than the light inside you. This is the same for Jesus as it is for us. It's as valid for him as it is for us. Let the light lead you, and there will be no misstep in you. Mysticism has practical applications in this physical world. If you want to change the world, act in the world through your heart. Sometimes this is hard. Sometimes it takes standing with strength. Sometimes it takes getting hurt even. God forbid. But it's practical. It's applicable. And we're here for the light in our thoughts and in our deeds, in our private and in our public lives. Be gentle, be humble, be kind, be compassionate, be brave, be bold, be guided, be strong, be courageous. All of these things are gifts of the Spirit, capital S, gifts of the light within, the love that lives. Aho, amen. So let it be. Thank you all for spending time with me. If Not Church feeds you, please subscribe. It really helps. Now, especially if you're coming back repeatedly for this community, this gathering of people. At the top of the next hour, we gather together in open conversation where everyone has a voice to talk about our own mystical experiences, kindness, compassion, and humility. Those are our rules for the Mystic Tea Salon at the top of the hour, link below. Like the video too, please. That really helps. Thanks. Seriously, your ongoing financial support, my friends, makes a huge difference. Everyone who gives even a small amount, and I thank Pon Lily and Kate over there for the super chat. Thank you very much. It makes it possible for me to be here on Sundays and weekdays in our mystical community. Super chat, PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, and Patreon. I try to make it easy. Private sessions with me are available. All of this at peterpanagore.love. Thank you all. Thank you all. Take a look over here. I'll take a look over there in a second. Next Sunday. Oh, yeah. Next Sunday, we'll return to the Gospel of Thomas, saying 26. And I love this. The beam and the speck and the beam. Mystic T Salon is up next, top of the hour. See you then. I'm going to take a look over here in the chat and see what's going on. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here this morning. Hey, Michael Z. You can safely assume you've created God in your own image when it turns out that God hates all the same people you do. Oh, yeah. And Lamont. You can safely assume that you've created God in your own image when it turns out that God hates all the same people you do. Such a mind-blowing thing. And Lamont said that. You're welcome, everybody. Life, when choosing the light and love and positivity seems smoother. Says Pond Lily. Janet, this is the best message I've heard for our times. Thank you, Janet. It's not my message. I really, truly try to get out of the way, not only in my internal self, but in my actions and in my thinking. Try to let the light speak for itself the best I can, even though I know it's filtered through me. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Marius, out there in Nevada. Thank you so much for your words today. They resonate deeply. Thank you for being here. Your interview on the Positive Head podcast was so moving that I purchased your book and now I'm here. Trace, thank you for saying so. That was a great interview that they did. I'm so thankful to the Positive Head for having me on their show. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. My job, of course, is to try to raise awareness of mysticism, raise awareness of near-death experience, mostly raise awareness of light and love, and to, if I can, provide Shakipat. If I can, I try. Filled with love and compassion, says Betty A. That's a good one, Anne Lamont. Hey, Brother Ed, Rabbi Peter. Love has energy. One's heart shows through many things. Love has energy. It is action. It's action. Wanda, you are one of us living alongside us, and your messaging is always so timely. Thank you, Wanda. I try to listen. I try to listen. That's what meditation, okay, centering practice into silence is the practice of listening. Capital L, that's what it is. It's listen with the ear of your heart to the divine presence. And people ask me, someone asked me, what do I hear? Do I hear God's voice inside me like the old white guy with the long beard? No, I don't hear that. What I hear is the divine presence itself. It's the same thing. If you ever feel the Shakipat, if you ever feel the energy inside yourself, that's the voice that I hear. Is love and hate like black and white? Yeah, it is, only it's shades of gray sometimes too. I find it difficult to love a particular neighbor, but I learned not to hate him. Right, exactly. At least don't hate. So I'm kind of neutral. That's good. How can I be more moved towards love? How can I move more towards love? This is what I spoke about last week, David. Is that when you learn to love your higher self, you naturally love the higher self in other humans. On this little short documentary that I got taped last summer, it's now up. This fella in the comments, he said, this is very much like Hinduism. And he asked me if when I was dead, and did I not only see the divine light of golden fleck inside of all human beings when I was in this, when I was dead? And my answer to that is yes. Here on earth, I see the divine light inside of all human beings, all animals, and all trees, all birds and bees and butterflies, dragonflies and lizards and snakes, and even those who have darkness in their hearts who hate. It's not a practice of loving the person. It's a practice of loving your soul. And when you learn to love your soul, you love the soul of the other. You can oppose them in their actions toward you and still love them. These are not mutually exclusive. I've lived this in my own life. I have had actual enemies in my life, people who try to destroy me, take me down, ruin me financially, personally, professionally, publicly, defrock me. Not that I care now about defrocking, but then I did. And yet, the more I loved my own heart, the heart of the divine within me, the light of Christ inside of me, to put it in Christian language, the divine Shakti inside of me, the more I loved them. You see what I mean? It's the higher self that we're loving in the other person. And the more we find it inside ourselves, the more we see it everywhere we go. And then this radiance shines out from us. I hope that helps, Jay. I never know what to call you, David or Jay. I think you sign your letters David. So sorry about that, brother. Peter, your mic has static and sounds like an echo chamber. That's weird. Oh, I know why I had my speakers up. How's it? I hope that's better. Thanks, Brenda. I forgot to turn my speakers down. I was probably getting some reverb back. It sounds like a great message. I'll catch up later. Good. I'll see you around, Betty. The frequency of love permits one to know the truth. The frequency of love, the capital F frequency of love, lets one know the truth inside oneself. It resonates inside us. Thank you, Colleen from New Hampshire over there next door. Love is an action. Thank you for your axioms and spreading love and light. You're welcome. Is love of Christ shed abroad in your heart, Dawn? Yeah, that's what happens. When you love this ineffable, the one Christians call Christ, when you love this love that loves us and is beyond all things and all ideas, and when you create a capacity inside yourself, a space inside yourself, it naturally loves everyone around you. It just does. And it sheds it out from itself. It sheds it from itself. Have you ever been in the presence of someone who is shedding light, whose the light within them radiates through them into the outside world? It is experiential in people. It sheds from people. It comes into my grandmother when she makes bread when I was a kid. Yaya, how do you make such good bread? I put love into it, Peter, she would say, or Petro. I put love into it, Petro. Love can be incorporated into things. And the trick is to get out of the way and let the love flow. It naturally just sheds as a radiance off of mystical geniuses, off of Jesus, off of Rumi, off of numerous gurus and rabbis and imams all over the world, mystics who aim their heart at love. You, even. If you feel this inside someone else, it's because it lives inside you. That's the way it works. Loving the spark, yes, loving the spark. That's what Kristen said over there. It keeps the chat jumps on me sometimes. The spark of love, the spark of source in you can recognize the divine in others. Everyone is beautiful in that light. This is totally true. I think it was Simone Weil, an American. She was French and she came to the United States. 40s, she was in the French underground, but she was a mystic. And I think it was Simone Weil who said something like, a beautiful woman, how does it go? A beautiful woman beautiful woman sees the light in her face. An ugly woman never makes that mistake. Meaning something like that. What she's meaning is that a, that uh, is that every human being has this light inside them. My gosh, I shouldn't have said that quote without being able to say it exactly. Look it up. Look it up. Simone Weil. She spells her name with a W, not a V. Yeah. You should have prepared that. Rabbi Peter, your message of mystical attunement is truly divine, especially in the meditation of the music of the light within. This is the place it is, brother. You know this, brother. I know you know it. I feel it from you. And snakes and mosquitoes too. But here's the thing. I love that you brought this up, Janet. Okay. So I can love the mosquito and still kill the little sucker on my arm. Okay. I don't have any problem with that. We have equine encephalitis here where I live in the coast of Maine. The same with ticks. We have all sorts of tick-borne diseases. Yeah, I can love their little lights inside them and send them off to their next incarnation with no problem. Okay, so I know that's yes. Martha, I've had to do that. Love the soul of the other despite their human actions. I've worked, yes. Oh my God, yes. In all my work that I did as a pastor, this was so often true. Working with criminals, working with abusers. Stop them from what they're doing. Stand in their way. But love them nonetheless. In my work with domestic violence, I don't want to tell a story here, but I'll kind of summarize by saying that it is possible to love someone and stand against them. It's possible to love someone and leave them because you need safety. Hate in these kind of circumstances actually has a helpful action in the beginning. If you hate your abuser, you leave them. But to carry hate, what a darkness that is. It hurts you more than it hurts them. The recitation, to recite something again and again inside one's head, the story of your pain, isn't to injure them at all. It's to hurt yourself and burden yourself. We create our own little dark spaces inside us when we repeat the wounds that were given to us by those who hurt us. And what it does, really nothing to them. It only hurts us. Bless them and free oneself from the burden of the hate. Thank you, Jem. Teaching is beautiful. You're welcome, Dawn. God has gifted me with never knowing what hate is, except intellectually by hearing others speak of it. Of course, I know anger, but I have never wanted the destruction of another. This is what grows out of a heart connected to the divine. Michael, thank you for saying that. Thanks for watching that other video tonight, Brother Rob. Good to see you, brother, here too. You're still doing solar panels, almost finished. Oh, yeah. Rob's installing solar panels at his house. He told me the other day. That's really cool over there in Wales. Sarah, I have a hard time killing cockroaches here in Florida. I apologize. It said some. No, you're so sweet to want to package up those cockroaches and send them on to Maine. But no. Please don't trouble yourself on my behalf. Yeah, sometimes you have to say no to truly love someone and let them be responsible for their response, not you. Yeah, this is someone said to me the other day, well, in one of these videos, the lots of interviews I do, this guy sounds weak because I talk about love all the time. But what they don't know, when a person who says such a thing, is that they don't know the strength of love to stand against the darkness. It comes with great strength. It stops us from reacting and allows us to give a thoughtful response. And sometimes that thoughtful response is to say, I don't want to be around you anymore. Something like that. Patience takes much practice. It's a practice of patience. It is. It also has great rewards and shows in one's heart. Yeah, it also arises out of the divine connection. Patience. Patience is a divine, it's a virtue. Patience is a virtue. Well, why is it a virtue? Because the mystic experience patience arising from the very center of their heart. And so part of this whole near-death experience thing is that, I'm not really interested in trying to convince anybody of anything. I've never been trying to make believers out of anybody because I don't really give a shirt. Instead, I have patience because I know that when they die, they're going to see for themselves. This arises directly from my NDE. The deeper you go into your spirituality, the more patience arises because the longer view is taken, not the short term of this life only, but the elongated view of eternity. I wonder if Peter is just watching our comments. Sometimes I read all the comments because I think it's important to have conversation and communication and response. I want to be responsive to people, so I read as many comments as I possibly humanly can. Not just on the videos I produce, but on the videos that are produced with me in them, I try to read their comments as well, or at least I've started to do that in the past months. Wendell Berry, a Journey Home by Wendell Berry. No, Journey Home is the person's name. Sorry, Journey Home. A poem by Wendell Berry. Which poem? I love Wendell Berry. What a great poet, American poet. Forgiveness, freedom from my pain, says Sarah. Kate, she answered, bring your light from the something, I don't know what happened there. Journey Home, and I beg your pardon. That's the poem by Wendell Berry. I don't know that one off the top of my head, but I'll look it up. Especially if I remember to look it up. I said that, I'm like, will I remember to do that? I hope so. I beg your pardon. Love is stronger than anything. It is the force that will never be stopped. In the Psalms, no. In the Song of Solomon, it says, love is as strong as a death. Stronger even, I think. Never ending. You guys, you're funny about the cockroaches. Be the soul, says Kate. Yeah, be the soul, says Rumi, says Kate. Be the soul. That's what this is all about. It's being your higher self, being your true self. That's all, all these messages that I produce every Sunday in the meditations I run, all this kind of stuff that I do. It's really simply about the singular thing is to try to help you be your soul. And when you get to be your soul, what more is that? Well, what more is there than that? There isn't. I guess Colleen doesn't like bats. We had some brown bats at our house last night over there in New Hampshire. I don't like them in the house. Okay, so I got a rule about bats. The same rule I have for mice. Love them outside. Don't come in my house. Red squirrels too. Marcia, a step toward love is willingness to let go of judgment. I can discern what is better for myself, but let others have their own choices. Is my judgment depleting my energy and life force? You got to make judgments in the world, okay? It's true. I judge, do I want to add more garlic or less garlic? I had this tendency in my cooking to overspice everything in my early years of cooking. Like, oh, a little bit of pepper is good. I'm going to put a lot of pepper. So I learned to make judgments and make discernments about what's good for me and what's bad for me. And I do let others have their choices. I let other people be them. I live as a witness, through my interior world. I live as a witness to other people's lives, not just my own. I witness my own life from my higher self that's always like looking through these eyes, and I know their eyes. And the same is true for the other people in my world. And the more I live inside myself, the more quietude and silence I have inside me, the more connection with the divine, the more I let people be themselves. but that doesn't mean that I have to be with them. I make judgments about the people I want to hang out with. I make judgments about the people I want in my life. I made a judgment on a plane last month in Utah about this fellow who was being a bully. I talked about that last week, I think. Maybe a Mystic Tea, maybe not on camera, but on recording. But we do make judgments, we have to make judgments, but the judgment isn't against the goodness or the badness of the person. The primary judgment I see and experience is the divine goodness, capital G, inside of them. And from that place, I can make choices that are good for me, or at least, or my family, or my friends, or my community, or my nation, that don't arise from hate. But I don't have to have these people in my life if I don't want them, if I don't want to, if I have a choice. I can say that murder is a heinous crime. That's a judgment. And murderers need to be incarcerated. That's a judgment. But I don't have to hate them for it. And how do I not hate someone who's really seriously hurt me? By finding inside of me the same light that's inside of Jesus. Someone did try to kill me. I've been held at gunpoint. I've been shot at. Someone tried to smash my head in. These aren't theoretical things for me. These are real things for me. Inside your heart is really the truth that you seek. And the more you seek it, the greater the capacity inside yourself grows to love in the world. I took martial arts. I took martial arts to defend myself. I'd take more of them if they were available in the style that I would like where I live. Because I think it's important to defend yourself against those who would do violence to you. But I don't know if you ever saw that movie, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I think it was in there. It was a beautiful film. But he never got angry. The protagonist never got angry in his self-defense. He was always in this place of peace. The warrior monks from the Shaolin temple, that's where they're reputed to have the same sort of attribute. You don't have to be hateful, even in self-defense. Perhaps discernment is a better word in that case than judgment, says Wanda. I'll go with that. I've noticed that sometimes a reflection of something in me, true, Robert, and I have noticed sometimes a reflection of something in me like jealousy. Yeah, jealousy is another one of these sort of hatred emotions. It also can be modified and eliminated through meditative practice, through divine experience, through mystical experience, I meant to say, mystical experience. Jealousy has to do with humanity's humanness. When one lives inside the light, that sort of goes away. Excuse me. And in the same way that you don't need to repeat the same story of pain inside your head, reciting all of the bad things that happened to you since 1971 in a sequence, the same technique can be applied to jealousy. You don't need to repeat the story inside yourself that makes you jealous. You can bless that person. You can dive into silence. You can send your mind in a different direction. All right, we're going to go in a minute or two here because I'll get ready for Mystic Tea. Thanks everybody for being here this morning and participating. I can't tell you how grateful I am that I have a community of people who are in pursuit of the same thing I am. And if you think that there's ever such a thing as a fully realized or enlightened or awakened person, let me tell you that's not true. I am always in pursuit. I am always in growth. The divine is infinite, and there are infinite levels, infinite heavens, until oneness of being is fully attained and there is no more self. I am in process too. And I thank you for being in our community. Thank you all. Let the Holy Ghost be the final judge, says Robert. That's right. Funny thing, though, when I died, I judged myself. And I was beloved. Thanks, Asta. Hugs and kisses all. She says, I wonder when I experienced oneness, it was so different from my normal mind that maybe the more my mind dips into this, the more I can feel the genuine love for others. Chris, exactly so. All right. What a great word to end on. Peace and love, everybody. See you at the top of the hour, link below. Remember, I changed the password. Sign up for our weekly newsletter to keep abreast of that. We did get Zoom bombed. Namaste, everybody. Namaste. Peace and love. See you soon.